The first time I told my best friend I loved her, I was standing under a string of cheap backyard lights, holding a paper plate full of meatballs, while six drunk adults debated whether Hannah Reed and I were basically married. I said it because everyone was laughing. I said it because Hannah had just stolen the last garlic knot off my plate and smiled at me like crime looked cute on her. I said it because if I didn't turn the moment into a joke, I was afraid the truth would show on my face. I love you, Han, I said, pointing a plastic fork at her. But if you touch my meatballs, this friendship is going to need counseling. The yard laughed. Hannah didn't. She froze with the garlic knot halfway to her mouth. Her cheeks went pink so fast I thought maybe she'd swallowed wrong. Then she leaned closer, close enough that I could smell her vanilla shampoo and the lemon in her iced tea, and whispered, "What?" I laughed because that's what cowards do when they accidentally tell the truth. "What, you want the meatballs too?" Her eyes stayed on mine. "No," she said softly. "Say it again." That was the moment my life stopped being the nice, safe thing I had carefully arranged for it to be. My name is Miles Carter. I'm 32, a project manager for a small renovation company in Columbus, Ohio, which means I spend most of my days explaining to homeowners why walls cost money and why tile guys do not, in fact, live in the walls until needed. I am good at plans, schedules, budgets, fixing crooked cabinets, and pretending I don't notice when a woman I've known for 11 years tucks her hair behind her ear and ruins my ability to speak. Hannah Reed had been my best friend since we were 21, and both working late shifts at a campus bookstore. She was the kind of woman who could correct your grammar while carrying 3 coffees, remember your mother's birthday, and make a stranger feel like they'd been invited into a warmer version of the world. She taught 4th grade now. She wore little gold earrings shaped like moons, bought too many cardigans, and had a laugh that started quiet and then escaped like it had been waiting all day for permission. And for 11 years, I had done what any sensible man terrified of destroying the best thing in his life would do. I lied, not out loud. Out loud, I was great. Out loud, I called her buddy and menace, and the only woman alive who alphabetizes her spice rack but loses her car keys twice a week. Out loud, when people asked why we never dated, I said, because Hannah has standards and I have a fantasy football league. Everyone laughed. Hannah always smiled. Sometimes, though, in the split second after the joke, I'd catch something in her expression that I couldn't name. Not sadness exactly, more like she had reached for a handle and found out the door was painted on. That night, the engagement party was for her cousin, Tessa, in a backyard lit up like a Pinterest board. Hannah had asked me to come because, in her words, if I have to answer one more question about whether I'm seeing anyone, I might fake a fainting spell into the potato salad. So I went as her shield. At least that was what I told myself. The truth was, I liked standing beside her. I liked that she handed me napkins before I knew I needed them. I liked that she could look at me across a crowded patio and lift one eyebrow, and I'd know immediately she wanted to leave, or mock someone's hat, or find the dessert table. It felt dangerously close to belonging. The last few months had only made it worse. In February, Hannah's mother had a stroke. Not the kind that makes everything stop forever, thank God, but the kind that turns a family upside down and shakes out all the loose pieces. Hannah became the responsible daughter overnight. Doctor visits, insurance calls, meal plans, a house full of relatives who had opinions but not availability. I started showing up. At first, it was practical. I fixed the loose railing on her mother's porch. I drove Hannah to the hospital when her car battery died. I brought coffee at 6 in the morning and pretended I was there because the hospital cafeteria had surprisingly good muffins, which was a lie so offensive I should have been fined. But somewhere between waiting rooms and grocery lists, something shifted. She stopped performing around me. I saw her cry in a parking garage, angry at herself for being tired. I saw her fall asleep on my couch with a blanket pulled to her chin, one sock half off, still holding a printed list of physical therapy exercises. I saw her brave in the boring, exhausting way nobody applauds. And one night, after her mom finally came home and Hannah stood in my kitchen washing a mug she didn't need to wash, she said, "You know you don't have to keep saving me." I leaned against the counter and said, "Good, because I'm more of a repair and maintenance guy." She laughed, but her eyes filled. Then she hugged me. Not the quick, casual hug we'd done 1,000 times. This one lasted. Her hand pressed between my shoulder blades, her face tucked against my chest. I remember staring over her head at my refrigerator magnets like they contained emergency instructions. Step 1. Do not kiss your best friend while she is vulnerable. Step 2. Do not be an idiot. Step 3. Good luck with steps 1 and 2, so I held her. That was all. And after that, Hannah started looking at me differently. Or maybe I just started noticing. At Tessa's engagement party, she wore a deep green dress I had never seen before, the kind that made her eyes look darker and made me personally resent every man in the yard with functioning vision. Her hair was pinned up badly because she'd done it herself in the passenger mirror after claiming she was low maintenance, which was Hannah speak for, I forgot we were supposed to arrive 10 minutes ago. There was one loose curl against her neck. I noticed it too much. You're staring, she murmured while we stood near the appetizer table. I'm supervising, I said. Supervising what? Your theft of my food. She grinned and took the garlic knot. That was when Tessa's fiancé, Brad, a man who believed volume was a personality, pointed at us and said, See that right there? That's marriage. Half the yard turned. Hannah rolled her eyes. Brad, please don't start. No, seriously, he said, beer bottle in hand. You two arrive together, leave together, fight over carbs, and Miles looks at you like you invented oxygen. My neck went hot. Hannah's smile faltered. Somebody said, just kiss already. Someone else laughed. I should have made a bigger joke. I should have stepped away. I should have done anything except look at Hannah in that green dress, with her stolen garlic knot and tired eyes and soft mouth, and feel 11 years of almost rise up in my throat. So I said it. I love you, Han. The words landed too cleanly, too easily, like they'd been waiting. Then came my stupid meatball joke, and the laughter, and Hannah's blush. Now she stood close enough that her shoulder brushed my arm. The party noise blurred around us. Someone turned up music near the porch, a dog barked. A woman dropped a fork and cursed like it had betrayed her bloodline. Hannah didn't move. Say it again, she whispered. I looked down at her, and for once I couldn't find a joke fast enough. Her eyes were shiny, but she wasn't upset. She looked almost scared, almost hopeful. That was worse. Because hope asks you to be brave. Hannah, I said quietly. I was just... Don't, she said. One word, not angry, just honest. Her fingers touched my wrist under the edge of the appetizer table, hidden from everyone else by a hanging white tablecloth. A tiny touch, warm, careful. Like she was asking a question with her hand because her mouth didn't trust the answer. My heart kicked once, hard. Then she leaned in closer and said the thing that changed everything. Miles, were you joking? There are questions that come with escape routes. Do you want coffee? Maybe later. Can you help me move? I have a thing. Were you joking? There was no safe hallway off that one. No window to climb out of. No polite little shrug that would let us go back to standing beside each other at parties, pretending we weren't the main conversation our hearts kept having behind our backs. Hannah's fingers were still on my wrist. I could feel each one like a separate truth. Across the yard, Brad yelled something about cornhole. Someone laughed too loudly. Tessa's grandmother asked where the napkins were for the 4th time, and I, a grown man who once calmly handled a basement flood, and a furious homeowner in the same afternoon, stood there holding meatballs like my entire future depended on marinara. Hannah, I said, and my voice came out rougher than I meant. Her thumb shifted lightly against my skin. Please don't say my name like a warning, she whispered. That broke something in me. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a small final snap in the place where I kept every almost and not now and don't ruin this. I set my plate down on the table. No, I said. Her lips parted. No, I wasn't joking. The backyard did not go silent. The music did not stop. The moon did not burst into 1,000 cinematic pieces. But Hannah did. She went completely still, except for her eyes moving over my face like she was reading a language she had once known in a dream. I laughed once under my breath, not because anything was funny, but because terror apparently needed ventilation. I mean, the meatball part was real, I said. I have boundaries. Miles. Right. Her blush had faded into something softer, deeper. Her hand slipped from my wrist, and for one awful second I thought she was pulling away. Instead, she took my hand. In public. Hannah Reed, who never made scenes, who once apologized to a chair she bumped into, laced her fingers through mine under the tablecloth. I need air, she said. We're outside. I need different air. Right, yes, different air. She led me away from the appetizer table like she knew where she was going, but she absolutely did not. We walked past the drink coolers, circled the same decorative barrel twice, and nearly wandered into a group of older relatives discussing mortgage rates before she tugged me toward the side gate. Neither of us let go. The gate opened onto a narrow driveway where the party lights thinned and the noise became muffled, like the whole world had stepped behind a curtain to give us privacy. Hannah stopped beside a hydrangea bush, then turned to face me. For a moment, we just looked at each other. This should have been awkward. It should have been impossible. 11 years of friendship should have stood between us like furniture in a dark room. Instead, I noticed stupid things. The tiny freckle near her left eyebrow, the gold moons at her ears, the way she kept inhaling like she was about to speak and then didn't. I wanted to touch the loose curl against her neck. I did not touch the loose curl against her neck, because I was trying, belatedly, to become a respectable man. Hannah swallowed. How long? I looked at the pavement. No, she said. My eyes came back to hers. Don't do that, she said. Don't hide from me now. I had heard Hannah use that voice with fourth graders who claimed they had no idea how glue got on the ceiling. Gentle, firm, impossible to disobey. A while, I admitted. Her expression flickered. A while like, since February? I shook my head. Since last year? Another shake. Her hand tightened around mine. Miles. I blew out a breath. Since you threw a paperback at my head because I said the movie was better than the book. Her mouth opened. That was 10 years ago. 11. And for the record, I still think the movie had better pacing. She stared at me. Then she slapped my arm with her free hand. Ow. 11 years? I know. 11 years, and your plan was what? Secretly pine until one of us died in a cardigan avalanche? In my defense, you own a lot of cardigans. Miles. I didn't want to lose you. The words came out quiet enough that the night almost took them. Hannah's face changed. That was the thing about her. She could tease with the precision of a fencing champion, but the second she saw something tender, she put the sword down. You thought telling me would make me leave? She asked. I thought it would make you uncomfortable or sad or guilty or worse, kind. You'd try to let me down gently, and then every movie night, every grocery run, every stupid meme you sent me would have this shadow over it. So you decided to suffer nobly? I decided to be your friend. Her eyes softened, but there was pain there too. You were always that, she said. You didn't have to cut yourself in half to do it. I couldn't answer, because she was right and because her thumb was moving over my knuckles now, slow and unconscious, like she was calming both of us. Then she looked down at our joined hands. I didn't know, she said. I got pretty good at lying. No. Her gaze lifted again. I mean, I didn't know until maybe recently that I wanted you to mean it. My lungs stopped cooperating. What? She laughed, but it shook. Don't make me say it if you're going to look like that. Like what? Like I just told you your house has a basement ghost. That would be easier to process. She smiled, and it was the smile I knew best, except now it was trembling at the edges. When Mom got sick, she said, everyone kept telling me to call if I needed anything. You were the only one who didn't make me ask. You just showed up. Coffee, rides, fixing things. Sitting with me when I was too tired to talk. That's not… Don't say that's not romance. Her cheeks colored again, but she didn't look away. Maybe it wasn't to you. Maybe you were just being Miles. But I started noticing how safe I felt with you. And then I started noticing that safe didn't feel boring. It felt warm. It felt like coming home and realizing someone had left a light on. I had imagined Hannah confessing feelings before. Of course I had, usually in ridiculous scenarios involving rain, dramatic music, and me having better hair. None of them prepared me for her standing in a driveway under weak porch light, telling me I felt like home. Han, I whispered. I got scared, she said, because it was you. And because if I imagined kissing you and then you made one of your jokes, I thought I might have to move to another state. I blinked. You imagined kissing me? She covered her face with one hand. That is what you took from that. It was a strong contender. Miles. You imagined kissing me, I repeated, because I was apparently 13 now. She dropped her hand, mortified and beautiful. Yes. The air between us changed, not by much, a degree, a breath. But suddenly we were not simply best friends holding hands in a driveway. We were a man and a woman standing close enough to make old rules feel thin. I glanced at her mouth. She saw it. Her breathing changed. Hannah, I said, if you don't want, I do. The words were immediate, too immediate to misunderstand. I took one step closer. She didn't move back. Her free hand rose, hesitated, then settled against my chest, right over the spot where my heart was making a fool of itself. We should probably talk more, I said. We will. We should be careful. Probably. This could get complicated. Her eyes narrowed. Miles Carter, if you list one more practical concern while I am trying to have a life-changing moment with you, I will steal every garlic knot you ever love. I laughed. And then I touched her face, just with my fingertips along her cheek, soft enough to give her time to pull away. She didn't. Her eyes fluttered closed for half a second, and that tiny surrender nearly undid me. I bent slowly. She rose onto her toes. Our first kiss was not dramatic. It was careful, warm, a little uncertain. Then Hannah made a small sound in the back of her throat, and her fingers curled in my shirt, and the kiss became something else. 11 years of restraint did not explode. It melted. I kissed her like I was asking. She kissed me like the answer had taken months to find, and she was relieved to finally give it. When we broke apart, she stayed close, forehead almost touching mine. Well, she whispered. I nodded, dazed. That was terrible. We should never do it again. She laughed against my mouth. Then she kissed me once more, quick and sweet. Say it again, she said. This time I didn't pretend not to understand. I love you, Hannah. Her eyes shone. From inside the yard, someone shouted, Has anyone seen Hannah and Miles? Hannah looked toward the gate, then back at me, her hand still fisted in my shirt. Not yet, she said. Not yet what? She smiled, shy and daring at once. Don't let them have us yet. Don't let them have us yet. If Hannah had asked me to steal a car in that voice, I would have checked whether she preferred automatic or manual. Instead, I nodded like a man with dignity and said, We could make a run for it. Her eyes widened. From my cousin's engagement party? You said different air. I'm committed to the assignment. We can't just leave. We can if we walk briskly and avoid eye contact with grandmothers. Hannah pressed her lips together, trying not to smile. Tessa will kill me. Tessa is in love. She won't notice anything for at least 40 minutes. And after 40 minutes, we fake our own deaths. She laughed, and the sound loosened the last tight thing in my chest. 2 minutes later, we were sneaking down the sidewalk like teenagers, her hand in mine, both of us ducking instinctively when someone opened the side gate behind us. It was only Brad yelling, Found more ice! Hannah shoved me behind a maple tree. I whispered, Did you just use me as cover? You're taller. I feel objectified. You'll survive. She was still holding my hand when we reached my truck. That mattered. It mattered more than the kiss somehow, because kissing could be blamed on moonlight and adrenaline and garlic knots. But Hannah choosing to keep her fingers threaded through mine in the quiet after? That was deliberate. I opened the passenger door for her. She paused before climbing in. Where are we going? Somewhere public enough that we behave. Her eyebrow lifted. I cleared my throat. Mostly. The blush came back, and I nearly shut my own fingers in the door. We ended up at Rosie's, a 24-hour diner with cracked red booths, pie rotating in a glass case, and a waitress named Marla who had seen every kind of human mistake and judged all of them equally. Hannah and I had been there 100 times. After bad dates, after good movies, after my dad's retirement party when she rescued me from a 3-hour conversation about lawn fertilizer, after her breakup with a pharmacist who used the phrase, optimize my emotional bandwidth without shame. But walking in that night felt different. The bell over the door jingled, and Hannah glanced at me like we had crossed a border. Our booth, I asked. She looked toward the corner booth by the window. Then she looked at our hands. Our booth, she said softly. Marla brought coffee without asking. Well, look at you two. Party close after 10 p.m. Somebody get married? Not us, Hannah said too fast. Marla's eyes dropped to our joined hands. I tried to let go, worried Hannah might feel exposed, but she tightened her grip. Marla smiled slowly. Uh-huh. Pie, I said, because I had no other defense. Apple or cherry? I looked at Hannah. She smiled. Both. Marla tapped her pencil on the pad. That kind of night, huh? When she left, Hannah slid into the booth across from me, then immediately frowned. What? I asked. This feels too far. Before I could respond, she stood, came around, and slid in beside me. Shoulder to shoulder, knee to knee. My entire body became aware of itself in an inconvenient and deeply unprofessional way. Better, she said, folding her hands on the table like she had not just rearranged my nervous system. I stared at her. What? She asked. You sat on my side. I did. You never sit on my side. I'm experimenting. With diner seating? With not pretending. That shut me up. Her smile faded a little, but not sadly. More like the joke had led us to the edge of something real again. I don't want to go backward when we leave here, she said. My heart gave that hard kick again. Neither do I. But I also don't know how to do this. She looked down at her hands. You know everything about me. My coffee order, my mom's medications, the fact that I cry at school concerts, even when the recorders are objectively terrible. That's because children playing recorders sounds like ghosts arguing. Miles. Sorry. Her mouth twitched. You know me too well. Which sounds good, except, what if I'm not mysterious enough to date? I turned slightly toward her. Hannah. No, I'm serious. Her fingers started worrying the edge of a napkin. People get dressed up and ask charming questions, and discover each other. You already know I sleep in old charity walk t-shirts and panic buy soup when it snows. I find the soup thing alluring. You say that now. I have always admired a woman prepared for weather and sodium. She laughed, but her eyes stayed uncertain. So I reached under the table and took her hand again. Can I tell you something terrible? I asked. That depends how terrible. I don't want mystery from you. She went still. I want the stuff I already know, I said. I want your cardigan avalanche and your soup bunker. I want you grading papers at my kitchen table and leaving red pens in my couch cushions. I want you calling me dramatic when you are clearly the dramatic one. I am not. You once gave a basil plant a pep talk. It was struggling. I want that too. I rubbed my thumb over her knuckles. And I want new things. Dates, firsts, finding out how you like to be kissed when we're not hiding beside hydrangeas. Her breath caught. I leaned a little closer. I want to learn you in a way I never let myself before. The diner noise hummed around us. Silverware, coffee pouring, Marla laughing near the counter. Hannah's eyes filled, but this time she smiled through it. That was a very good answer, she whispered. I've been preparing for 11 years. She laughed and leaned her head against my shoulder. It was such a simple thing, her temple resting there, her hair brushing my jaw. But it felt more intimate than anything that had happened in the driveway. It felt like a promise neither of us had drafted yet. Marla arrived with 2 slices of pie and 1 fork. Hannah lifted her head. Only one? Marla winked. Budget cuts. The second Marla walked away, Hannah picked up the fork, cut into the apple pie, and held it toward me. I stared. She rolled her eyes. Open your mouth, Carter. You're feeding me pie? I am offering a romantic gesture. Don't make it weird. It's already weird. I'm emotionally overwhelmed by pastry. But I leaned in and took the bite. Her eyes stayed on my mouth for half a second too long. Then she looked away, pink-cheeked, and whispered, "Okay, maybe I made it weird." I couldn't help it. I touched her chin lightly and turned her face back toward mine. Good weird. Her gaze dropped to my lips. Very good weird. I kissed her in the corner booth at Rosie's with apple pie between us and Marla, definitely watching from the coffee station. This kiss was shorter than the one in the driveway, but less careful. Hannah's hand came to my jaw, soft and sure, and when she pulled back, she smiled like she had just discovered a secret door in her own house. Then her phone buzzed on the table, once, twice, 5 times. Reality returned wearing Tessa's name on the screen. Hannah groaned. "We are dead. Fake death plan still available." She read the messages, then covered her mouth. "What?" Tessa says, "Please tell me you two are finally making out and not kidnapped." I blinked. That's supportive. There's more. Hannah squinted. "If yes to making out, take your time. If kidnapped, send location." I relaxed. Then another message appeared. Hannah's smile faltered. Not much, but enough for me to notice. "What is it?" I asked. She turned the phone toward me, a message from her mom. "Are you with Miles?" "Good. Tell him I said, don't be foolish with my girl." Hannah stared at it, mortified. "She knows?" I smiled despite the sudden pressure in my chest. Her girl. I looked at Hannah, at the woman who had been my best friend for 11 years and had kissed me like she wanted tomorrow to look different. "I can handle that," I said. She studied me. "Can you?" I took her hand again, on top of the table this time. "Yes," I said. "But I need to do one thing first." "What?" "Ask you properly." Her face softened. "Hannah Reed," I said, "will you go on a date with me tomorrow? A real one. No fake emergencies, no best friend camouflage, no pretending I don't want to hold your hand." Her smile trembled. "Yes," she said. "But Miles?" "Yeah?" She leaned in close, her lips brushing my ear. "You're still not getting the last garlic knot." I slept exactly 14 minutes that night. Not in a row. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Hannah in the diner booth, leaning toward me with cherry pie on her fork and that brave, shy smile on her face like she was deciding to stop standing behind the life she wanted. At 6:12 a.m., I gave up, made coffee, and stared at my phone. Our date was at 7. 13 hours away. I had remodeled kitchens in less emotional time. At 6:19, my phone buzzed. "Hannah, are you awake?" "Me? No." "Hannah." Impressive texting for a sleeping man. "Me? Years of training." "Hannah, I couldn't sleep." I smiled so hard my face hurt. "Me? Me?" Either. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Hannah, did we really kiss in front of Marla?" "Me. Marla has signed a non-disclosure agreement." "Hannah, Miles." "Me. She promised to only tell essential diner personnel." "Hannah. So, everyone." "Me. Probably the pie supplier too." A minute passed. "Hannah." I keep replaying it. My hand tightened around the mug. "Me? Which part?" "Hannah." "All of it. But mostly when you said you wanted to learn me differently." I set the mug down carefully because suddenly my hands weren't trustworthy. "Me? I meant it." "Hannah." "I know." Then, "Hannah, that's the problem. I'm not used to you meaning things that make my knees weird." I laughed alone in my kitchen like an idiot. "Me? For the record, your knees have caused me problems for years." "Hannah, my knees?" "Me, among other things." "Hannah, Miles Carter, are you flirting with me before breakfast?" "Me, I am attempting to." "Feedback welcome." "Hannah, needs work. Continue practicing tonight." That one message carried me through the day like a secret under my ribs. By 4, I had changed shirts twice. By 5, I had bought flowers, decided flowers were too formal, bought a single sunflower because Hannah once said roses felt like romance with a marketing department. then worried a single sunflower looked like I'd stolen it from a roadside memorial. At 6:58, I knocked on her apartment door holding the sunflower and the confidence of a man approaching a parole hearing. Hannah opened the door, and every prepared sentence left my body. She wore dark jeans, ankle boots, and a soft cream sweater that slipped slightly off one shoulder. Her hair was down, curling around her face. She had put on lipstick, not much, just enough to make me forget my own address. Her eyes dropped to the sunflower. "Oh," she said softly, "I panicked." She took it, smiling. "This is the nicest panic anyone's ever brought me. I can panic bigger next time." "Good to know." Then she stepped back. "Come in for a second, I'm almost ready." I had been in Hannah's apartment hundreds of times. I had assembled the bookshelf in her living room. I knew which floorboard squeaked near the kitchen. There was a mug in her cabinet that said, "Ask me about fractions," because I bought it for her. But that evening, crossing her threshold felt new. She put the sunflower in a vase that was actually an old pasta sauce jar, then caught me watching her. "What?" "Nothing." "You look suspiciously fond." "I am suspiciously fond." Her face warmed. "That's allowed now, I guess." I stepped closer, slowly. "Is it?" She looked up at me and the teasing fell away. "Yes," she whispered. So I touched her waist, just lightly giving her time. But she moved toward me as if she'd been waiting all day for exactly that. Her hand slid up my chest and settled at my shoulders. "We haven't even gone on the date yet," she said. "We can stop." "I didn't say that." Her smile was small and wicked, and it nearly ended me. I kissed her there in her living room, beside the thrift store lamp and a basket full of ungraded spelling tests. Her mouth was warm, familiar, and unfamiliar all at once. She tasted faintly like peppermint. When my hand flattened against her back, she made that soft sound again, the one I was already in danger of building a religion around. Then she pulled back breathless. "If we don't leave now, I'm going to be too nervous to leave at all." I rested my forehead against hers. Nervous bad? Nervous because it matters. I understood that too well. The date was simple. Italian place, corner table, candle in a red glass holder that made Hannah's eyes look like they were keeping secrets. We ordered too much food because both of us were trying to appear normal, and apparently normal people needed calamari, bread, pasta, and an emotional support tiramisu. For the first 20 minutes, we were terrible at dating. Not because it was bad, because we knew each other too well and not enough. I asked, "So, do you have siblings?" And she stared at me until I said, "Right, I've met your brother. He owes me $40. She asked what I did for work and then buried her face in her napkin. "We are disasters," she said. "Historically, yes." She laughed, and after that, something eased. We started asking questions we had never dared to ask. "What did you think when we first met?" she asked. "That you were bossy." "I was training you on register." "You said, 'Alphabetical order is not a suggestion, Miles.'" And I was correct. "You were," I admitted. "I also thought you were the prettiest person I'd ever seen." Her fork paused halfway to her plate. "Oh." I looked down, suddenly embarrassed. "You had ink on your wrist and a pencil in your hair. You were furious at a freshman for shelving murder mysteries under self-help." "That was a crime." "It was. But I remember thinking, if she ever smiles at me, I'm done." Her voice softened. "Did I?" "Yeah, 10 minutes later. You laughed because I dropped a box of bookmarks." "I remember that," she said. "You bowed." "I was trying to preserve dignity." "You had none." "I know." She reached across the table and took my hand. "I thought you were kind," she said. "That first night, you acted like joking was your main language, but you walked me to my car because the backlot light was out. You didn't make a big deal of it, you just noticed." Her thumb traced my knuckle. "I think I've been noticing you noticing me for a long time," she admitted. The words settled deep. After dinner, we walked along the river because neither of us wanted the night to end. The June air was warm, music drifted from a bar down the street. Hannah's hand fit in mine like she'd designed it there. Then she got quiet. I glanced at her. "Where'd you go?" She stopped near the railing. The water moved black and silver beneath the lights. "I'm scared," she said. My stomach tightened, but I didn't interrupt. She looked at me. Not of you. Of this being perfect for one weekend and then strange. Of losing the person I call when my sink leaks or my heart hurts. Of wanting too much and finding out we were better as almost. I stepped closer. I'm scared too. You are? Hannah, I have been in love with you for over a decade. I'm basically a haunted house with a driver's license. She gave a watery laugh. But I don't want almost any more, I said. And I don't want to rush you because I finally got brave. If we need to go slow, we go slow. If we need awkward first dates where we pretend not to know your brother, we do that. But I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. Not because it's easy, because it's you. Her eyes shone in the lamplight. I'm choosing you too, she whispered, even scared. That was the clearest yes I had ever heard. She stepped into me, arms sliding around my waist, cheek against my chest. I held her by the river while people walked past and the city kept moving around us, completely unaware that my entire world had narrowed to the woman in my arms. After a while, she tilted her head back. Kiss me like we're not pretending, she said. So I did. No hydrangeas hiding us, no diner booth, no joke to soften it, just Hannah choosing me and me finally brave enough to let her. When we separated, she smiled against my mouth. Okay, she whispered. Okay, what? Okay, boyfriend candidate. You may walk me home. Candidate? There's a probationary period. How long? She pretended to think. Depends on garlic knot availability. I laughed and tucked her hand into the crook of my arm. But outside her apartment building, she didn't go in right away. She looked at the door, then at me. Do you want to come up? She asked, quickly adding, for tea. Actual tea? I'm not trying to. I might be trying to eventually, but not. I kissed her forehead. Tea sounds perfect. Relief and affection softened her whole face. Upstairs, she made chamomile neither of us drank. We sat on her couch with our knees touching, talking until the clock blurred past midnight. At some point, she fell asleep against my shoulder. I stayed still, smiling in the dark. Then her phone lit up on the coffee table. A message preview from Tessa. Mom is making brunch tomorrow. She says, bring Miles. As your boyfriend. No pressure. I didn't read the whole message. I saw the words bring Miles and boyfriend, then looked down at Hannah asleep against my shoulder and decided the phone could keep its secrets. Her hair was soft against my jaw. One hand rested on my thigh, open and trusting, like even in sleep she had reached for me without thinking. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the little sigh she made when I shifted the blanket over her. For 11 years, I had been careful not to want too much. That night, with Hannah curled into my side, I let myself want a future. Not a dramatic one. Not some movie version with swelling music and impossible promises. Just mornings with her hair in my sink, her red pens in my truck, her mother calling me to ask if I could fix a loose cabinet and then pretending it wasn't an excuse to check whether I was being sensible. Hannah stealing food from my plate and kissing me like apology was optional. At 1:17 a.m., she stirred. Did I fall asleep? She mumbled. No, you were resting your eyes with commitment. She lifted her head, saw my smile, and groaned. I'm an incredible date. Top 3. Her eyes narrowed. Top 3? Top 1, but I didn't want you getting arrogant. She smiled, sleepy and unguarded, then noticed her phone glowing on the table. Oh no. I didn't snoop. But you saw. Enough to know I may have been promoted. Hannah grabbed the phone, read Tessa's message, and turned scarlet. My family has no boundaries. I've met them. That was clear. She covered her face. They're going to be unbearable. Probably. And loud. Definitely. And my Aunt Paula will ask if we're trying for children by the omelet station. I paused. There's an omelet station? Miles. Sorry, fear response. She lowered her hands and looked at me with nervous eyes. We don't have to go. I knew what she was really saying. We don't have to define this in front of people. We don't have to let everyone touch the fragile new thing. We can keep hiding a little longer. I took her hand and kissed her knuckles. Do you want me there? Yes, she said immediately. Then I'm there. Her expression shifted, softened. As what? My heart started up again, hard and hopeful. I could have joked. I almost did. As your emergency brunch consultant, as omelet security, as the man your aunt interrogates until he confesses to crimes he didn't commit. But Hannah deserved better than another joke standing in for courage. As your boyfriend, I said, if that's still an available position. Her smile came slowly, bright enough to ruin me. It is, she whispered. Full time, terrible benefits, high garlic knot competition. I accept. She leaned in and kissed me, soft at first, then smiling, then not smiling at all. When she pulled back, she pressed her forehead to mine. My boyfriend, she said, like she was testing the shape of the words. My Hannah, I said before I could stop myself. Her breath caught. I started to apologize, but she shook her head. I like that, she whispered. The next morning, I walked into brunch holding Hannah's hand. Not near her hand. Not brushing it accidentally. Holding it. Tessa spotted us first and screamed. Actually screamed. Brad yelled, called it, and nearly dropped a pitcher of orange juice. Aunt Paula looked us up and down and said, Finally, I've had a $20 bet riding on this since Thanksgiving. Hannah's mother sat at the kitchen table, one hand wrapped around a mug, her smile slightly crooked from the stroke and more beautiful because of it. She looked at our joined hands, then at me. So, she said, you stopped being foolish. Yes, ma'am. Hannah made a sound of protest. Mom. Her mother ignored her. Good, she likes when people show up. I know, I said, and she hates carnations. I know that too. And when she says she's fine, she usually isn't. Hannah's grip tightened. I looked at her, not her mother, when I answered. I know. But I'm learning to ask anyway. Hannah's eyes went shiny right there in her aunt's kitchen between the fruit salad and the suspiciously aggressive quiche. Her mother nodded once. All right then. That was it. No speech, no threat. Just permission, in the language of people who had watched Hannah carry too much and wanted someone to hold some of it with her. Later, while everyone argued over whether mimosas needed more juice or less dignity, Hannah pulled me into the pantry. What are we doing in here? I whispered. Hiding. From brunch? From emotional consequences. I glanced at the shelves. There are 12 cans of soup in here. She lifted her chin. Weather can change quickly. I find you deeply attractive right now. You find emergency soup attractive? I find you attractive. The soup is context. She laughed, then went quiet. In the narrow pantry with cereal boxes behind her, and my hand braced on the shelf beside her head, she looked up at me like she still couldn't quite believe we were allowed. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up, she said. I touched her cheek. If you do, wake me too. Her eyes softened and she pulled me down into a kiss. Someone opened the pantry door. We broke apart. Aunt Paula stared at us. Then she reached past my shoulder, grabbed a bag of pretzels and said, Carry on. Hannah buried her face in my chest while I laughed so hard I had to hold onto a shelf. That was how we started. Not perfectly, not smoothly. We had awkward moments. We had old habits to unlearn. Sometimes I hid behind jokes when I felt too much, and Hannah would look at me and say, Come back here. And somehow I always knew what she meant. Sometimes she got scared and tried to prove she didn't need anything, and I'd set coffee beside her and say, You don't have to need me for me to stay. We learned each other differently. The first time we fought as a couple, it was over me canceling plans because I thought she needed rest and not asking what she wanted. She told me, very firmly, that being loved did not mean being managed. I apologized with Thai food and no excuses. The first time she introduced me to someone as my boyfriend, she squeezed my hand so hard my knuckles cracked. The first time she left a toothbrush at my place. She acted casual for 11 seconds and then asked, Is that weird? I said, Hannah, you have a designated soup shelf here. She said, That is disaster preparedness. I kissed her until she stopped arguing. 6 months later, we hosted our first holiday dinner together. Not officially together, according to Hannah, because hosting is a serious step, and we are simply co-providing mashed potatoes. but she wore my old sweatshirt while stirring gravy in my kitchen. And her mother sat at the table folding napkins, and Tessa kept winking every time Hannah and I bumped hips at the stove. At one point, Hannah stole a roll from my plate. I caught her wrist. She froze, eyes dancing. Careful, I said. This friendship may need counseling. Her smile turned soft in that way that still made the room go quiet for me. Then she leaned up and whispered, "Say it again." So I did. In front of the sink full of dishes with flour on her cheek and my whole life warmer than I'd ever thought to ask for, I kissed her forehead and said, "I love you, Hannah." She blushed even then. Then she stole the roll anyway, and I let her because by then I understood something I should have known from the beginning. The joke was never the joke. She was always the truth. What would you have done if you jokingly said, "I love you" to your best friend, and they blushed and asked you to say it again? Have you ever experienced something similar? Tell your story in the comments. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.